Hello and welcome to Security Scan, and this week we'll talk about active protection system for tanks. Now, with rapid developments in anti-tank missile technology, the focus is now on another set of technology which protects tanks from these attacks. The active protection system for tanks is designed to prevent line-of-sight guided anti-tank missiles or projectiles from acquiring or destroying the target. APS typically comes in two forms, the soft kill and the hard kill. Now, soft kill measures include electronic countermeasures that alter the electromagnetic or acoustic signature of the target, thus altering the tracking and sensing behavior of the incoming missile or the projectile. And the hard kill measure launches a physical counterattack on the incoming threat to protect the target. So what are various developments taking place on this technology? How effective is this? And where does India stand on this particular matter? For more on this, I am joined by a distinguished panel of guests in the studio today. Let me first introduce these guests to you, beginning with we have retired Lieutenant General A.B. Shivane, ex-Director General Mechanised Forces. We also have with us Lieutenant General V.K. Saxena, Distinguished Fellow with the VIF, and Mr. Sudhi Ranjan, the Senior Editor from Hindustan Times. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, for Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, General Saxena, and let's put things in perspective here for our viewers. What exactly is an active protection system for tanks?
Talking of active protection system, we'll have to start that all the tanks or the infantry combat vehicles or any mechanized forces belonging to artillery or the air defense are vulnerable to, as you just now mentioned, line of sight missile, which may be launched on them. And these missiles could be operating in various ranges. It may be in ultraviolet, UV range, it may be in the IR range, it may be in the visual range. And the active protection system is basically that system which make sure or which deflect these missiles either by soft kill method or by hard kill method. Like you said, in the soft kill method, the aim of these systems is to either augment the electronic signature of the target or reduce the electronic signature of the target so that the incoming missile is misguided or is not being made effective on the tank itself. Whereas the hard kill system or the active protection system in the hard kill is basically a three stage game. In the first stage, there are electronic sensors which may be radars or which may be electro-optical sensor, which may be IR sensor, which try and detect an incoming missile at a distance with the capability of the radar. Thereafter, the system is so capable, in a very short amount of time, it activates its own electronic or explosive projectiles or its defending projectiles which go and destroy this target or hit this target in a catastrophic collision method or through proximity by letting its missile detonate at a place which is not intended to be. In addition to this, there is another set of systems which are available on mechanized system, which are called reactive armor, which that do not have a system on board, but the armor construction itself is reactive in a fashion that it takes certain actions to make sure that the incoming missile or incoming round, because a particular tank is vulnerable not only to an anti-tank guided missile, it is also vulnerable to a high explosive anti-tank round from another tank. It is also vulnerable to a round from the recoilless gun. It is also vulnerable to the rocket projected grenade which can be launched onto the target.
Okay.
All this, how to detect, how to launch your missile or explosive so that it is destroyed, is in the terms of hard kill system, and the soft kill is to augment or reduce the electronic signature of the target so as to make the incoming target ineffective.
Okay, let me bring in Lieutenant General Shivane here. Lieutenant General Shivane, with all these explanations on what exactly is APS, the next question is how effective is this technology? Because first, everybody invented the technology, go ahead and target the tanks. Now it is about safeguarding the tanks from missile attacks or projectile attacks. So how effective is this technology?
Okay. I had the privilege of initiating this procurement for the mechanized forces of the Indian Army. And I would like to put it in the perspective of the operational necessity and the desired capability. Now, in the present and future battlefield, a tank as a mobile protected platform with lethal firepower has become a dominant player for ensuring victory at least cost and minimum time. And therefore, there are a plethora of technologies and efforts for anti-tank systems to negate this capability. And one of them is this active protection system. Now, two events stand out. One was a clip of 2013 in which a rebel in Syria from the first floor fired a RPG on a T-72 and it blew up. And then the second clip that stands out in memory is that of 2014 Israel Gaza Strip operational protective strip, the protective strip, that's right, protective edge. And it was in that the Markova Mark IV was equipped with active protection system.
Okay.
As a counter to the Hamas tank ambush. And there were dozens of RPGs and missiles fired, but not a single Markova got hit. So therefore, in an environment we are going to be fighting, even in the Indian environment, in a 4GW environment, you have to ensure survivability. Now, survivability has multiple layers, but the most important layer, you shouldn't be seen. If you're seen, you shouldn't be detected. If you're detected, you shouldn't be engaged. If you're engaged, you shouldn't be hit. If you're hit, you should not be destroyed. The most important thing is, how do you prevent being hit? Because you may be picked up, how do you prevent it? And that's where the active protection systems have come up in terms of capability.
Okay.
Now, this capability is very important because you can't keep on adding armor and increasing the size of weight, and which has impact on its strategic, operational, and tactical mobility. It can't move like you can't make a horse and elephant and expect the same thing to happen. So therefore, active protection system is a smart solution with low weight, high capability. So when you say your cost benefit and value vulnerability analysis, when you do, then it stands out and an operational necessity where world over contemporary tanks have gone in for such a system.
Okay. So it's quite important and quite necessary as well, as far as mechanized forces are concerned. Let me bring in Sudhi here. Sudhi, if you look at the development of this technology world over and the way, the Indian aspect brought in by General Shivane here, how do you see at the APS, the technology itself and its necessity and its use?
To begin with, I'll add one quick line that these are professionals, so I have no quarrels with them. They obviously have seen it up front. We only report on it, and therefore we have some observations. That said, I will say that with 31% of your total capital budget of India going into defense and gaping holes in defense preparedness, we have to be very, very careful. We have to prioritize as to what we want. And I, have no angst or no axe to grind when I say it is the Indian Army which said that we need heavy protection for our Arjun tanks. To the extent that Arjun tank is so heavy today that it cannot be sent into certain areas. So we went in for a certain technology, and this is not the only place where we have done this, that we want this, and then we said, oh, maybe we may not have needed it. If you look at India's immediate requirements, what is our requirement? We need to protect our western border, we need to protect our northern border. In the two, in the western and the northern, who all has or does have this capability or likely to acquire? In the areas that we are likely to see tank warfare most likely, which is in the west, we do not see a neighbor or an enemy who's as well equipped. Therefore, my big question is, should we at all be very concerned about it? But that's my thing.
Okay. General Shivane, would you like to respond to that? And then I'll come to General Saxena as well.
See, you prepare capabilities which take time for the future. And therefore, you envisage threats for the future, not what threats are existing today. That is how a capability development for the future takes place. You have active protection systems which China has, and seen the Bonhomme and the Evergreen relationship, it's very likely it may pass on to our western neighbors also, Pakistan also. So therefore, when you have RPGs at 200 meters, and they have both our western neighbors and the northern neighbors have got RPGs. When you have attack helicopters, when you have anti-tank missiles, when you have tanks, when you have artillery ammunitions which are tank specific coming up, you need to protect yourself, because unless you prevent being hit, you will not fight with that tank another day. And I spoke of victory at least cost and in minimum time is the acme of warfare today. So, therefore, I think we have to plan for the future, and capabilities take time. So, yes, we have to prioritize. We have to prioritize, and we have to also look at scaling. It may not be a universal scaling. The offensive lot may have the system. The defensive lot who are not likely to go in may have the soft kill system. So therefore, prioritize scaling
and scale it.
But the capability necessity is well established. And we don't want to be, as in the past, running behind capabilities when they are on the receding mode itself.
Capabilities and necessities are well established. General Saxena, on this aspect which Sudhi brought in here, as you know, do we really require this, one, and two, how effective this might be? General Shivane has made his point. Yes, we do need it. The capabilities and necessities are there, but prioritizing part, which raised by Sudhi, is definitely taken on board.
Sir, prioritization is very important, but the point is, what General has brought out is that the question whether to have it or not already stands answered. We are well beyond it. Well, I'll take you back 10 years back when the DRDO, that is the High Explosive Material Research Laboratory in Pune, have already started to do experimentation with explosive reactive armor. Today, our explosive reactive armor has already reached certain capability. I will take you back to the 13,468 crore deal of 464 the latest tanks which we are getting, M90 tanks. Now we already have prioritized that we require the active protection system for them, because they are the tanks of the forward line which will require protection. Not only them, what about the element which are protecting them, the air defense element, the guns and missiles which go alongside? If we do not survive, how do the protected elements survive? So in any case, even at that time, the two systems, the world-renowned system, one is called the Russian Arena system and other is called the Israeli Trophy system. Both of them were trial evaluated, and trial evaluated with complete background of operational necessity, intent, capability building. It is unfortunate that one of them was left out, other became single vendor, could not go through, and now it is in the MAKE project line. But what Mr. Sudhi is bringing out is a relevant issue which stands answered. That today, if you do not survive to fight another day, then who will have the last laugh? Let's take the case of stealthy aircraft. If your air defense is not strong, the stealthy aircraft will have the last laugh. But if your air defense is strong, you will take out any stealthy aircraft and you will have the last laugh. If your tank force does not survive the onslaught of an anti-tank guided missile or the rocket launcher or the RCLs or the RPGs, they will not survive to fight the next day. You will have a loss of huge catastrophic loss at the cost of 180 GM.
John, you want to add something?
I just want to add that when you do capability planning of any, say for mechanized forces, which I was responsible, you do a fleet management perspective. In that fleet management perspective, you see that your T90 is going to be in service much beyond its life, to the tune of it's going to be there till 2045, 2050. Now, can you have the same T90 which you got in 2001 with the same technology capability be able to counter the threats in a modern battlefield till 2050? I'm afraid not, sir. And therefore, you have to envision that what are going to be the threats in 2040, 2050. And when you envision, in that envisioning and in prioritization and your value and vulnerability analysis and your cost benefit and operational payoff analysis, it has clearly come off that active protection system is an operational necessity, and therefore we have gone in for fielding it under the MAKE categorization.
Okay, so it is an operational necessity, and we keep on building on our capacities. Sudhi, I believe these responses answer what the question which you raised. But in addition to that, if you look at the overall world over scenario, the kind of technologies which are being developed as far as APS, the Active Protection System, is concerned, and the kind of capabilities we have. So how do you look at that scenario?
Well, I mean, as I said before I started this, I know it is a bit of a touchy issue, but yes, I mean, both the generals, obviously as professionals, they would know better because they are the fighting men. We observe from the outside and therefore we are making these comments. Agreed, what they are saying, completely agreed. But that said, I would also add another line that no country is ever prepared for war. You fight with what you have.
And that is why we say we keep on building.
We keep on building. And again, I mean, to go back, I mean, as the CDS is likely to come in, this one of the first things that we understand is going to be prioritizing what we need, what we do not need, what is immediate, what is not immediate. Yes, if you are using your tanks till 2050, perhaps, or 2045, the T90 tanks need to be strengthened. But today you need to stand back and say that today do I need to immediately get worried about this or something else? That is there. If you look at what the general was talking about, Syria, Israel and the other areas, the counter question to is, are we likely to be in a position like that? I would let it rest there.
Okay, but we can't, let it that way as well, as General Shivane and General Saxena is pointing out. For them, as the commanders, as the generals, the idea is to go ahead and be prepared for every situation. General Saxena, I'll bring you to that particular question about, the kind of technologies which are being developed as far as air protection system is concerned, and our own capabilities, world over, and our own capabilities as well.
Sir, I was talking about the various capabilities of the hard kill and soft kill system. Let me take you a flavor of the whole world systems today. Today, the soft kill systems have gone into another level of technology. And the level of technology has reached that set of maturity that we are able to not only augment the signature, that means augment means manipulate the signature of an armored vehicle so that the vehicle does not look as signatured in IR or UV or visual as actually it is.
Okay.
It is not even in that location. It is that its signature is imitated and put at a different place so that a missile is totally misguided. Today there are soft kill systems which are not only covering the entire radar, entire tank, they are also covering such portions of the tank which will take on the top attack munition, top attack munition which can also be protected. Now, talk of the reactive armor. Now, this is another field which is actually on fire. We started with explosive reactive armor, in which we used to put two plates and high explosive in between. Any penetration by an anti-tank guided missile or an AP FSDS ammunition or APDS ammunition, that is armor piercing discarding sabo ammunition, it used to explode and the tank the energy used to be transferred onto the penetrator by destroying it, by bending the rod, etc. Now, that was one issue. We have removed the explosive in between. Today, we have gone for non-explosive, non-energetic reactive armor. In that, what is happening? You're putting an inert plate in between, in the sense it absorbs the energy and moves the plate in a fashion that the point of aim of the ATGM or the target gets destroyed. We are also going ahead for electromagnetic reactive armor. Now, in that is what? A blank space has been created between two plates and the high voltage is charging the armor initially. Moment a tank or a anti-tank guided missile hits onto the tank, the circuit gets completed, a huge amount of energy is transferred to the target. Either it vaporizes or can become plasma. Now, imagine the Russian system or a word system. I'm talking about the hard kill. I'm just giving you a flavor of the word. In the hard kill system today, people have reached a stage and where they're using, I'm reminded of the Elbit system called Iron Fist. They're using an ESA radar, active electronic scanned array radar, which has got a tremendous resolution and a capability to pick up the target as long as from 70 meter to 700 meter per second.
Okay.
It has large number of quick reaction projectiles which can be fired. Imagine a tank protection system or ARIRA. The digital computer covers the tank area of 300-degree arc. It covers it like this. If any other projectile is hit onto that, in 0.05 seconds, it can activate and set the thing.
Okay.
Now, talk of India. Where are we? We are never behind. We are in the game.
Okay.
Like our explosive reactive armor, HEMRL has developed it long back. It is perfecting. We should go forward. Also, as the journal was bringing out, when we are going for T90, the journal has already made it clear that the active protection system on that is an inevitable must. Whether we get Arena of Russia, whether we get Trophy of Israel, whether we make our own through make. The bottom line is that such a system is a must and we must go for it.
Okay.
Because if you do not survive the next day, you will not have the success of mechanized infantry or armor operation in battlefield.
Okay, once again, the point which is very well made is that we do need such systems, and the operational necessity is time and again put in place there by both of you. General Shivane, let me bring you again on this aspect which General Saxena explained in detail about the scenario world over, the flavor of what kind of systems do we have and all that. Specifically, if I want to bring you on the reactive armor aspect which General Saxena pointed out, and the kind of developments which we have done where we are right now, and in the near future, how do we envision our mechanized forces equipped with?
See, as far as the ERA panel, explosive reactor armor panels are concerned, I think we have come up with an indigenous solution which is of a very high quality, and that is already on our tanks and equipment. So that technology, along with the two other facets, which is the laser warning systems and the anti-tank, anti-thermal smoke, which is to blind an incoming missile, are well on board. But having said that, that is today's scenario. What is the world scenario and technology? There is a technology void in terms of hard kill within our capability. We don't have that because that requires a very high and sensitive sensors to pick up the threat, tracking radar to track the threat in milliseconds, 0.05 seconds. The computer picks up, then the computer decides what are the vectors of the threat, and then the countermeasure system, it gives command to it to activate it in the angle at the right time and at what distance. Now, a projectile which is coming at 1000 meters and a kinetic energy projectile which is coming at 1700 meters per second, you can imagine if that has to be destroyed in the air at least 4 to 5 meters ahead in that, what is the sort of time frame in which they say? So that is that technology, I'm afraid, we will have to work in consultation and in joint ventures and bring it as an indigenous solution through a Make One.
Okay.
Not that, if I was to pinpoint two systems in the world today which are leading and which are catching the eye, one is the Israeli trophy system, which has proven itself, like I told you, in Gaza Strip. And the Americans, both for the Abrams and the Bradley vehicle, are today going in for this Israeli system. They've negated all the other systems. The other system which has had a breakthrough, and today I think that is the number one, is what has been mentioned and coming out in the open source is the Afghan kit of the Armata. Now, where does this have an edge over the Israeli trophy system and the other world systems? Afghan kit today, the other systems of the world are able to counter threats of up to maximum 1000 meters per second, which is a chemical energy projectile, whether it's the RL, whether it is the ATGM, or it's a chemical energy projectile from a tank gun or a system, anti-tank system. But the kinetic energy projectile did not have, the APS did not have an answer to that. Afghan kit has come up with that.
Okay.
Afghan kit is today able to neutralize a missile coming at 1700 meters per second towards it, which is in the area of an APFSDS.
Okay.
And it's aiming at a futuristic 3000 meters per second. Now, that is the sort of technology we must be working on so that both the kinetic energy and the chemical energy threats are neutralized. When you go to buy something, you need to buy something with a long-term perspective in a scalar approach.
Okay.
So therefore, even our procurement case talks of a desirable or essential requirement and a desirable requirement.
Okay.
Essential requirement is chemical energy, desirable is kinetic energy.
Okay, so there it is, as our panelists have pointed out, the where, how and why of the ASP technology, that is Active Protection System, APS technology, and how these things work. What is India's position as far as this particular technology is concerned? And one point which has come out, the underlying theme is that we need this kind of particular system. There is an operational necessity, and we also need to go ahead and set our priorities right and keep on building on our capabilities. We'll come back again next week with a different topic and different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.